In today's video, I'm going to talk about the weirdest smartphone I've ever owned. I've reviewed some really interesting smartphones here. Anything from a fake S22 Ultra that you can get on Amazon, which this one in specific can read my cat's fingerprint as my own, or the fake 14 Pro Max, where literally every spec on this device is fake. By the way, I removed the back glass, and all that remains is the back cover that comes with the phone. We've also taken a look at the older S4 Zoom, which literally looks like a digital camera. But as you saw in the thumbnail and title, today we're going to talk about the weirdest smartphone of them all. Now, this smartphone is manufactured by a company called Unihertz, and Unihertz is manufacturing their phones out of China. Now, interestingly enough, they pretty much raise money for all their smartphones on Kickstarter, and once they have the funding, then they roll it out. But they recently sent me a phone, and it seems so weird that it actually sat on my desk for over a month. Until recently, I opened it, and I've been kind of blown away by this phone, mostly because it's so weird. It doesn't really make any sense, and because of that, I love it. Let's go back in time, let's unbox the smartphone, take a look at it, and then I'll show you some things I really like about the smartphone, and then I'll talk about some things that just don't make any sense. Let's jump right into it. So as you guys know, I have a nail biting problem, and because I don't have fingernails, I can't open anything. So I bought some of these razor blade keychains. What do you guys think? If you like them, I'll put the link in the description below. So the name of this weird smartphone that we're going to take a look at, it's called the TickTock S by Unihertz. Now, it's pretty obvious why it's called the TickTock, and that's because it's got a big old watch on the back of the smartphone. Why is that? I couldn't tell you. They just wanted to put a watch on the back. Before we jump into the details on that, I want to show you guys the smartphone and some of the specs. First of all, I love the operating system. It is running on Android 12, which is pretty dang new. The chipset is also MediaTek Dimensity 700, and the phone also has 5G. Oh yeah, and the battery is 5200 milliamp hours, which is pretty freaking good. I could use the phone for 2 to 3 days before I need to charge it again. And I am all about that. Now let's get into some of the weird parts of this phone. Not only is it a rugged phone, this thing is a freaking hunk of metal. Like legit 294 grams. The USB-C port is covered with this flap of plastic. I really don't like that. And then on the other side, you've got a fingerprint reader with the volume up and down. On the opposite side, I forgot to mention that it's got 2 shortcut buttons, which we'll get into later. Thankfully, the fingerprint reader is really a fingerprint reader. This fingerprint reader is legit. If you can see here, I'm using my index finger to try to unlock it, and it's definitely not unlocking, but when I switch back over to my original thumb, it's actually reading it, so that's definitely a good sign. Okay, so let's get into the weirdest part of this phone that doesn't make much sense to me at all, but for some reason I just love it. Okay, so let's talk about the weirdest feature of the phone, and it's the big old watch that's plastered onto the back of the smartphone. You can access its settings by going into the settings and choosing the option called subscreen settings. That's what they call it, is a subscreen. I guess that's what it is, right? Now, in the subscreen settings, you've got several options. You can choose what app notifications you see on the subscreen. Sadly, you can't run apps off of it, but here is my favorite part. You can go to a section of these settings where you've got a bunch of different watch faces. Now, similar to what you could do with the smartwatch, you can choose fully custom watch plates, and I actually found a way to go to Google and find PNGs of Rolex watches, which is what you guys saw on my thumbnail. So I think that's pretty cool. You select it, tap on use, and then when you flip the phone around, you are rocking a Rolex, baby. Who wouldn't want that? Oh, what? Wait, what? You wouldn't want a smartwatch on the back of your phone that doesn't count your calories or have any other purpose other than looking cool? I mean, honestly, it's pretty much how I feel. It doesn't serve any real purpose other than a few things I'm about to show you, but it's pretty much there just to look cool. And don't get me wrong, it's pretty cool. I don't see the purpose of there being a watch on the back of the phone. But that's why it's so weird and cool. Now, you can operate the back camera with the subscreen, and I would say that is a fantastic use case. As everyone knows, selfie cameras take lower resolution photos than the back camera, and this allows you to take back camera photos and you can see your pretty face. And I do have to say, I've brought this phone to work and showed my friends, and I'm probably the coolest guy at work with a smartphone that's got a fat watch plastered to the back. Per usual, can it run Doom? Of course it could run Doom. It's got a MediaTek Dimensity 700 octa-core chipset, as I had mentioned, and that runs at 2.2 gigahertz, so not too shabby. Now, I'm unsure if I mentioned the storage options, but this one in specific has 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of internal storage. Actually, I think I misspoke. This one's got 128 gigabytes of internal storage, which is enough to download Genshin Impact. Now, I don't play Genshin Impact, but everybody asks, with smartphones I review, can it run Genshin? And in short, yes, it can run Genshin Impact, but I'm not much into this anime scene. Although, for the 15 minutes I played, this was pretty fun. Now, this is odd. I've played Call of Duty on a S20 FE as well as a Note 10 Plus, and Call of Duty Mobile seemed to run the smoothest on the TickTock S. Unsure why. I also am able to play Geometry Dash, and it's pretty dang responsive to my tapping. Obviously, if you're trying to play Geometry Dash with a latency issue, you're going to end up throwing your phone through the wall. So yeah, the smartphone does all right. I was able to complete a couple levels of Geometry Dash on this phone, and I would say that's pretty much a victory in of itself. If you guys are enjoying the video, please like the video and consider subscribing. I want to show you guys something really cool with the shortcut buttons on the side of the phone. It's the 2 red buttons on the side that look like volume rockers. What's really cool is with each button, you could even customize it down to a short press, a long press, and a double press, and I'm going to run through what I've done with this phone. So on the short press, if I press that, it does a screenshot, just like this. So again, a short press, I've customized it so you could do a screenshot, but you could change it to almost anything you want. If you do a long press like I just did, it'll turn the flashlight on. And then I've customized it when I do a double tap, it will actually turn the screen recorder on, and all I need to do is press start recording, and I could do a screen record, which I think is pretty cool. So I'm going to do it again just to show you guys that you can start recording, and it's pretty simple. You just press that button, and you can see the recording button on the top right. It's also worth noting that you could do these 3 custom shortcuts with the top shortcut button as well. I've just showed you guys what I've done with the bottom. If you got creative, you could practically control the entire phone with just these 2 shortcut buttons, and it's probably one of my favorite things about the smartphone, and it's kind of weird. I've just never seen it on a smartphone. Now, there's also another setting called Intelligent Assistant, and you could go in there and do some interesting things like this application called Freezer. It allows you to go through all the apps that are installed on the phone, and whatever you check off, it will pretty much make it so they're not visible on the home screen of the smartphone. So when you exit this setting, all of your apps have disappeared. It's almost like they're hidden. Now, sure, there's applications on the Play Store that will do this for you, but I think it's interesting. It's just a standard setting on the smartphone. Now, you could go back into the freezer setting, and you can recheck everything to show that everything is visible. Although there is a downside, when you uncheck everything to show every single application on the home screen, as we had originally, when you close the settings out, all the applications are still gone. So it does require me to restart the smartphone, and once the smartphone has rebooted up, we're back to normal. And again, we can see all the applications that are there. It's just kind of interesting that you have to restart the phone to do that. Now, as I've said previously, some of the features on this smartphone are very weird and different, and although they aren't essential, it's probably why this is one of my favorite smartphones, just because it's so quirky and weird. This is definitely the weirdest smartphone I've ever owned, and I absolutely love it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, be sure to check out these 2 videos right here.